I know, Chau, you're a therapist with Gem Wellness and Counseling, and you do see an increase in incidents during the month of December. Talk to us about why this happens.
There are stress triggers during the holidays. There's financial pressures, there's drinking in abusive relationships. There's the feeling that you have to be a certain way during the holidays. So a lot of times survivors talk about just trying to make it through the holidays because things are so stressful. The kids are home. You want to make the holidays enjoyable for the family. So a lot of times survivors may not speak out about how badly things are going during the holidays. We see a lot of talk about domestic violence. Sometimes at hotlines, we don't see a lot of the phone lines light up because people are just trying to manage in the homes.
Yeah, and with that said, so many people are together during the holiday season. You could be closer to your abuser than any other time of the year and spending more time with that person. What advice do you have for folks who are having to spend time with their abuser, who will be closer to their abuser during these next few weeks?
Domestic violence, intimate partner relationships are complicated because a lot of times the victims, the survivors, they just want the abuse, the violence to end. They love their partners. They want the marriage to work. They want the relationship to work. And a lot of times they stay even though they're struggling with things like control and jealousy and isolation. Those are the signs we look for in abuse. What I would say, if you know someone who's going through domestic violence, and a lot of people go through it, it's more common than you know, 1 in 4 by some statistics, listen to them without judgment. Let them know that they don't deserve this, that they're not alone, and that there are resources available. Ask them to seek counseling, talk to somebody. There are toll-free hotlines. There are shelters available. The victim ultimately has to make the decision that he or she wants to leave, but let them know that help is available and they don't have to suffer in silence and suffer alone.
And I think having that conversation, gently encouraging them to get that help, to seek those resources, that would be your advice for people throughout the next few weeks.
Of course, of course.
Yeah.
These are stressful times. We know that a lot of times in domestic violence situations, the partners are just trying to manage, right? And we've got financial pressures, we've got holidays, we've got mental health issues, we've got alcohol is an issue. The other thing that came to mind as you were telling the story of Mr. Lee, who's killed his wife allegedly, and the children have been hurt, is you cannot ignore the connection between guns and domestic violence during this time. If there is a gun, you are 5 times more likely to die at the hands of that a gun. So please know that if you are suffering abuse and there is a gun in the house, please know where that gun is. Please make all effort to protect yourself from serious harm.
Chau, I just want to walk through a scenario here. I am just making this up in my head. I don't have family in Cleveland, but say I did, and I was headed to Cleveland for the holidays, and I'm there with my family, friends. I see Aunt Sally is there's something not right with her. I suspect there could be some sort of violence within her house. How do I start that conversation? Where do we go from there in hopes of getting her help?
A lot of times we see things as family members, as loved ones, as friends, as coworkers, that doesn't feel right. If you sense that a relationship's not right, if Aunt Sally is saying something that doesn't seem exactly quite to match up with a healthy relationship, maybe there's some jealousy or control, or he's looking through her phone, or he's threatening or calling her names or putting her down. Those are not signs of a healthy relationship. I would firstly say listen with compassion and without judgment. The last thing a survivor wants to hear is, why don't you just leave him? What a jerk. Those things further isolate and shame a survivor from disclosing and sharing her story and maybe seeking some help. So listen without judgment, be compassionate, and let them know that they don't deserve this and that there is help available. There are 1-800 numbers. There are local shelters and domestic violence organizations. There are counselors who work with trauma like myself and many, many others in our communities. The resources are vast. Help is available.
Yeah, and just reaffirming they are not alone throughout this is really important. Chau Nguyen, thank you so much for coming on the show. We appreciate your time as always.
Yeah, thank you, Zach.